Actually, my favorite moment on the set of Drake and Josh was when I got to direct. That was really awesome. I being able to, decide what happens, what they wear, what the set's going to look like, how this joke's going to go, or what shots are going to be, what's going to make this funnier, how can we shoot this and make it this way. So that was probably like the biggest highlight. Funniest moments. Oh, okay. So you ever? I don't know if you guys were here yesterday, but I told this story. So sorry for repeating it. But did you see the episode where we had to watch the baby?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a scene where the baby, pees on Megan. Remember? And well, what we had is we had a little tube that would run up, and we were squirting water on her. But the baby obviously had to go, and it really actually peed on Miranda. She was holding the baby, so she couldn't drop the baby. There's nothing she could do, so she was holding, she's just like, oh, guys, come on. I thought that was pretty hysterical. So every time I see that episode, I'm like, oh, people only knew. Yes? I'm sorry?
What actor or artist do you find the most inspiration from?
John Lennon, Charlie Chaplin, Jerry Lewis. Yeah. The zombie apocalypse, what would be my weapon? A machete? I don't know, is that a good, I don't know, I don't know much about, is that a good one? Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, first of all, I love drinking chocolate. Okay, I love
Thank you.
And second, what would you like to do in the future acting-wise?
Christian Grey.
Honestly, what I would like to do is I would like to play Mark from Invincible. I'd want to be, I think that they need to make a show or a movie or something, because that's the coolest character, and I'd want to be Invincible. Yep. Keep calm, yeah.
Okay. So you said you started in the business really young. How did that affect your schooling? Did you finish high school?
Yeah. I went to, we do school on set and stuff like that, and then I went to high school for a little while and didn't like it. But yeah, I stayed in school and did all that stuff, and it was just done in a more non-traditional way. Yes?
How do I deal with fans?
I love fans. Without you guys, there's no show. I love entertaining people, and when people stop me on the street or they say, a lot of people are always, doesn't that bother you, when you're in the middle of eating and someone comes up to you and they're like, it's gonna bother me when it stops, because then that means people don't like what I'm doing, and I'm not making people happy, and when someone like when she says, your show is like my childhood, it's so nostalgic for me. It means so much to me that it's the greatest feeling in the world, really. Yeah. It's pretty different because you show up on set for a film or television show, and you go through hair and makeup. You wait around for hours and hours and hours while they light the thing, and get the shots all ready, and then you go in and you have to memorize all your lines, and there's just a lot that goes into it. Voiceovers, easiest gig in the world. If anybody can get a job doing voiceovers, do it, because you walk in, you can roll out of bed, doesn't matter what you look like, you could have your coffee, you could be in your pajamas, it doesn't even be, the hair's messed up, doesn't matter, and you can play the coolest, best looking person in the world, and you just sit in a room. It takes 4 hours for each episode to get all the voices, and the interesting thing about doing voiceovers compared to live action is
The ghost.
who's there?
Someone's about to wet their
pants.
Hello.
Little Spider-Man thing.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, the interesting thing about the live action compared to voiceovers is when you're doing an action scene, for example, live action, you don't have to think about making the effort noises or the grunts or anything, because that just comes naturally. But when you're just in a tiny room and someone in the director goes, okay, in this scene, Spider-Man shoots his web and he hooks onto this helicopter and he takes off and then he drops onto this building and he rolls and then he does a double kick, to this bad guy and then he jumps on this guy's head. Now, make those noises. And you're like, and you have to like make all these noises and hope that it really works, So that's probably the most interesting difference is actually, you don't think when you're doing live action, like if you're just climbing a ladder, you just climb the ladder. You're like, okay, I'm being filmed, climb the ladder. But now you have to go, in voiceover, you're like, okay, you're climbing a ladder. Okay. And you're just sitting in a room just making these weird noises. And you just go, yeah, this is my job. What'd you do at work today? Yes.
How hard was it to get into Peter Parker's mind?
Peter Parker's we have a lot in common. We're both young. He's not like a brooding Batman or Superman. He's like a teenage kid. So it was pretty easy to just kind of like just think about me in high school and do that. And also when he becomes Spider-Man, I mean he really doesn't. It's not like he changes into somebody. I mean, he's still that wisecracking kid, that's, with the bad jokes and the funny puns and stuff. So I just kind of just play with that.
Yeah, who do a better voice? Neil Patrick Harris or you?
Oh, me, of course. No, I thought Neil Patrick did a great job. That show was a little weird. I didn't like the look of it, but yeah, he did a great voice.
Okay.
Ninja. Or Sub-Zero. I'm sorry, I can't hear what? Oh, the question was, is there anything that was like the kangaroo changed the sheep that got cut out or replaced or changed? Let me think. I can't think off the top of my head, but I'll keep thinking. If I do, I'll come back to you. Yes.
Is The Amazing Spider-Man your first voiceover? And do you want to do more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And no, I've done a few things. Like I did fishtail. Shark Tale. Was it Shark Tale? It's hard. I do so many. I can't remember the names of them. And I just did this new movie that's coming out on. It'll be on DVD. I played a badger or something, or a raccoon or something. I don't know. But I mean, they happen so fast. You go in and you just record them, and it takes so long for them to come out that you forget. I mean, I did a Tortoise and the Hare with Danny Glover and Jay Leno, and then a really cool one that I got to do, which was one of the highlights of my career because I am such a huge Jerry Lewis fan. I got to play his grandson in an animated version of The Nutty Professor. So it was sort of a sequel to Nutty Professor. They were trying to make it, and we got to work together, and I got to go to Vegas and hang out with him for hours in because his daughter luckily was a fan of mine. So I was playing a concert in Vegas, and she came to the concert, and she said, my dad would love for you to come by and hang out and talk, and I got to just sit there and rack his brain and tell him all and ask him about all these old stories. And I mean, he was just like, how do you know about that? wait, how do you know about that? I'm like, Jerry, I've read every book ever on you. I've seen every single movie. I know. I'm a freak about this stuff. He's like, hey, you want to see something cool? And he starts going and he starts pulling out. He has a scrapbook of every single thing he's ever done. It's a whole library, and they're just scrapbooks. And you can open it up, and he's got the very first time he was ever in the newspaper for performing before he changed his name to Jerry Lewis. Like every single thing you could ever imagine. And then he was pulling out DVDs of him rehearsing with Mel Torme in a rehearsal studio, just B-roll that no one's ever seen before, because he's just like, hey, if you're into this, I'll show you this, like, look at this. And it's him and Mel Torme just like laughing it up and making jokes with each other. And I got to ask him about Dean, and he told me a story, a really cool story, because I told him, I said, Jerry, I don't think you understand really what it means for me to be here with you. I mean, this is just, I don't think you could understand. And he goes, yeah, I do. Let me tell you a story. Because I was playing a show in London, and everyone was there. Every who's who. The first 15 rows were, I mean, you could name every single person. They're just the biggest stars at the time. And after the show, Charlie Chaplin's daughter came up to my hotel room, and she said, I just want to let you know, my father just wanted to let you know that you did a great job and he thought you were hysterical. And he goes, what? He wasn't in the audience. He wasn't there. What are you talking about? I could see the first 15 rows. He wasn't there. He goes, no. He watched from the rafters so he wouldn't take the attention off of you. And he's just like, wait a minute. Wait. So Charlie Chaplin just saw my performance and thought I was incredible. And then him and Charlie became great friends. And he's like, so Dre, I mean, he's like, I'm your child. He's my Jerry Lewis, basically. I know exactly what it feels like meeting, for you right now. Yes. My start? I started long ago. It was funny, I was actually looking at my SAG card the other day. It says member since 1993. I'm like, jeez, man. The first commercial, I guess I can go to that. It was a Whirlpool appliance commercial for like washers and dryers. And I was about 6 years old, and I had to sit on a tree stump and eat a popsicle and let it, drip on my clothes, and then the rest of the commercial is my mom washes my clothes, and hey, Whirlpool's great. But I was sitting there, and I was sitting there going, okay, so this is what this business is? I get to sit around and eat popsicles and hang out with other kids, and I can do this. I'll stick with this, So that was my first thing. I did tons of commercials. I was on a lot of like the early 90s, Drew Carey show, Seinfeld, all those kind of shows and stuff. Yes.
What was your favorite prank done by Brenda, Andre, and Josh?
The purple paint in the locker spraying me in the face was pretty good. The alien episode I thought was pretty good when she hired her friend to scare us. There's so many to choose from. I mean, she was a little stinker. Yeah. Of my music? Everything, 100%. I do it all. I write it, produce it, make it, everything. And as far as like the band, putting the band together and how they dress and what we do on stage and the way the songs are performed and the compositions and everything, it's all me. I really love performing a song that I do called "Fool the World." That's a really